Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Second and 5, ball on the 42. Clock moving, under 6 minutes to play. Carr to throw, middle of the pocket, looking, throwing deep down the middle, looking for Rashid Shaheed. Catch! See you later, bye! Touchdown, Rashid Shaheed! 58 yards.
Mike Hoss on the call, Saints Radio Network. Saints beat the Colts 38-27 in Indy on Sunday. Here was Dennis Allen after the Saints get the equalizing win.
Proud of the way our team fought and competed today. You know, we did a lot of good things. Obviously, there's some things we got to get cleaned up. I think that's a good football team that we played. But I thought our guys responded to, call it the mini bye or whatever, and came back and we did some good things. So it was a good team win.
If the Saints turn this thing around, if they go on to win the division and make the playoffs, which is very much in play, I think we will point to this game, and specifically the moment in the game in the second quarter when the Saints were down 17-7. You're down 10. You're down double digits in the second quarter. And remember, I don't know that you could have started much worse. You get the ball and you punt. They score a touchdown. You get the equalizer. Then they kick a field goal to go up 10-7. Derek Carr fumbles. Remember, it's the strip sack fumble. Then they get a touchdown. They're up 17-7. And keep in mind all of the noise. And my hand's in the air. I was a big part of it. I'm not telling you I'm piping down, but the negativity around Dennis Allen, should he replace Pete Carmichael, Derek Carr yelling at Chris Olave, Michael Thomas going to Twitter to kind of co-sign that Carr screwed up, Olave getting arrested, everything. All of the noise. 3-game losing streak. The report from Jeff Duncan that 30 players on your roster, roughly half your roster, hadn't even opened up their tablets to look at game film. All of it. All the negativity. And then there you find yourself in the second quarter down double digits. In the second quarter, on the road. It would have been so easy to fold. It would have been almost expected at that moment to fold. And what did the Saints do? 8 plays, 75 yards for the touchdown. A beautiful play by Alvin Kamara. No, forgive me, that was the Taysom 20-yard run. Taysom scores, you force a 3-and-out, and you go down and you score again, and boom, that was the deep ball to Shaheed, the 58-yarder. And that deep ball to Shaheed that you heard coming out was the one that put the Saints up 21-17, and might be the one that we look back to and point to and go, that was the moment where the season turned. Yeah, you gave up the field goal before half, but you went into halftime with a 21-17 lead, and you were getting the ball to start the second half. It would have been so easy, with all that noise, all that negativity, to find yourself down double digits in the second quarter to fold. Instead, touchdown, you got the lead. And from that point, from being down 17-7, the Saints outscored the Colts. They outscored the Colts 31-10 the rest of the way. On the road. You overcame a double-digit deficit early to win by double digits. On the road in the NFL, that is not an easy thing to do and shouldn't be overlooked. The New Orleans Saints, did not play a perfect football game. The defense had their issues. They gave up the 2 long runs, 40-plus yards, 1 to Moss, 1 to Taylor. I mean, you had some moments in this game that were hold your breath moments where you were waiting for it to collapse, but maybe that was the biggest thing about this game, is that you did overcome adversity. The Derek Carr fumble, which led to a touchdown. You're down 17-7, as we mentioned. Touchdown, 3-and-out, touchdown, boom, you're up 21-17, just like that. Third quarter, you're up 21-20, and Paulson Adebo comes up with the big interception in that moment, which was so big because you're up 21-20. They're in field goal range. You're thinking at this moment you're going to be down. You're minimally going to be down by 2 after they kick a field goal. Maybe they score a touchdown here. Now you're playing from behind. Instead, Adebo gets the interception, and from there you go down and you score to extend your lead to 8 at that point. You're up 35-20. You'd built your lead to 35-20. You're feeling good at this point. 8 minutes to go in the game. What you can't have happen is allow a quick score. You're up 35-20, and what do? You allow a 6-play, 75-yard touchdown drive in just 2:30. You allowed the quick score. And now they're within a touchdown. They're within 1 score of you. And you punt. And you give them the ball to go down for the equalizer. And you got them behind the sticks on a 3rd and 18. And you allow them to convert a 3rd and 18. And at that point, tell me you weren't just sitting there like I was, like everyone was, expecting the worst at that point. When they converted the 3rd and 18, tell me with a straight face you weren't expecting Indy to go down the field, get the equalizing score. Instead, the Saints went incomplete, punt. You got the ball back, you went down, you kicked a field goal to go up 2 scores, and that was your final. When they had to make the play, Carl Granderson, who's been awesome this year, Granderson gets hurt. He's replaced by Isaiah Foskey. Foskey, who early in the season was a healthy scratch, comes up with a strip sack, which is a scoop and score. Now, they called it back on replay. Called it an incomplete pass. But still, huge play there by Isaiah Foskey when Granderson had come out of the game. When you had to have moments, you got him in this game. A couple other things that were takeaways from this ball game. I know there's been a lot of conversation around Chris Olave, and I think it's justified. We can talk about the body language and all that sort of stuff. Those are intangibles, and I don't know that I'm qualified to talk about all that. What I can say is this. You had an opportunity to put that game away, and he let a walk-in touchdown bounce off his helmet. Chris Olave has no right to be disengaged. He led your team with 9 targets. They are trying to push the ball to Chris Olave. And of the 9 targets, he came up with 5 catches. Rashid Shaheed had 3 targets. Anybody know how many receptions Rashid Shaheed had? 3. 3 catches on 3 targets for 153 yards and a score along of 58. By the way, that had only happened when you've had as few as 3 catches to go over 150 yards. That's the 3rd time in the history of the Saints organization that's happened. Michael Thomas had 7 targets, caught 4 of them. Kamara had 5 targets, caught 4 of them. They have pushed the ball to Olave. But right now, he's not your number 1. Michael Thomas should be your number 1 target. Rashid Shaheed should be your number 2, if not inverting those 2. The other thing I'll tell you that was a big takeaway from this game, and I'm going to hat tip our buddy Mike Triplett, who comes on with us here on Thursdays. And he tweeted this number, and it's something that it's almost mind-boggling that this isn't a more commonly understood statistic. The New Orleans Saints are 17-1 all time when Taysom Hill has at least 7 carries in a game. On Sunday in Indianapolis, he had 9 carries for 63 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let me say that again slowly. The New Orleans Saints are 17-1. That's not a small sample. 17-1 when Taysom Hill gets at least 7 carries in a ball game. I'm not smart, but I think it's pretty obvious that Taysom Hill should get at least 7 carries in a ball game because of what it forces a defense to do and to respect. The game for New Orleans was far from perfect. We talked about some of the defensive mishaps in the ball game, and those are legitimate. Tyrann Mathieu missed a tackle that allowed one of the long runs. You did allow the 3rd and 18 conversion. Rough day for Marshawn Lattimore, who led your team in tackles. And when your best cornerback leads your team in tackles, that's generally not a great thing. You allowed 371 yards and 27 points. There was a lot in this ballgame that wasn't great, and a lot of things that you can fix. And I'm not going to overreact to the offensive output for the Saints. It was great to see, and I certainly hope that they can replicate it and continue to replicate it moving forward. But if you were just to be a prisoner of a sample size of one game and say, look, Saints offense is great, then the flip side is, if you believe the Saints offense is great after one day yesterday, then you got to believe Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs stink, because they played a Denver team that allowed 70 to Miami. They did not get in the end zone, and Mahomes was 24 of 38 for 241 and 2 picks. Don't be a prisoner of the moment of one game. But look at that and realize that's the potential of what you can be when you're efficient. The offensive line was very good, in particular in run blocking. Derek Carr was decisive. He spread the ball around. All of those things are very encouraging when you look forward. And speaking of looking forward, look at what the Saints have ahead of them. Y'all, injuries are unfortunate, but they're part of the NFL. They happen to every team. And sometimes you get lucky where a game falls on the calendar based on who's available and who is not. The Saints were unlucky during the COVID year when they played the Miami Dolphins at home on Monday Night Football, and the Saints had to start Ian Book at quarterback. Do you remember that story? Like, you had players and coaches introducing themselves to other in the pregame locker room because of COVID had just decimated your locker room. Well, the Saints are catching a break. You win the game against Indy to move to 4-4. You're now Atlanta lost to the Oilers, Titans, Oilers, whatever. Unis look really good, though. I'm going to call them the Oilers for the sake of this conversation. Atlanta loses to the Oilers. You beat Indy. Now you're tied at 4-4 for the division lead. Chicago is coming to the Dome with a quarterback that was playing Division II football last year. No Justin Fields. And after you play Chicago at home, you go to Minnesota, who just lost Kirk Cousins to an Achilles injury for the rest of the season, and you're not going to see Justin Jefferson either. Remember before the season started, we did that bit where we said, hey, the Saints defense may be great by the virtue of the fact that all the quarterbacks you play stink. That was including the fact that you were going to play Kirk Cousins, who might have been the best quarterback you faced all year. Now you're not going to face him. Who you face in Minnesota is TBD. So if you win the next 2 weeks, you're 6-4 going into your bye, and then coming out of the bye, you play at Atlanta, who just benched Desmond Ridder. Sometimes things like that line up for you. Now, you have to go take advantage of it, and that's the sign of a good team. In the NFL is being consistent. The reason the majority of the teams in the NFL clump together in this sort of homogenous blob of 7, 8, 9 wins is because it's really hard to break free. And then sometimes when you're really bad, you just fall to the bottom. That's why you have the elite upper tier teams and the really crappy teams that always pick at the top of the draft. Most of the NFL falls in the middle because it's really hard to be consistent. This is the Saints' opportunity to be consistent over the next 2 weeks, get to 6-4 going into your bye, recharge, go beat Atlanta, and take full control of this division. Or you prove you are what a lot of us think you are, which is a middle-of-the-road team in the NFL, and you find a way to lose either to Chicago or Minnesota. We'll find out. But the next 2 weeks are huge for New Orleans. And if they do turn it around, we're going to point to the Saints being down 10 on the road to Indianapolis, the Taysom Hill touchdown, the 58-yard bomb to Rashid Shaheed to give the Saints the lead as the turning point of this season, if it comes to that. Make a note of that, mark it down, because if this team is playing into January, we'll look back to Sunday in Indy as to why. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.